Hello, everyone. My name is Martin Stalik. I'm here with Fernando Araujo. We're going to be recording a discussion and friendly talk about not only Jiu-Jitsu, but more topics. This is a series that comes out of idea to discuss with people that are either living in Czech Republic and have a BJJ black belt or are BJJ black belt and living somewhere else. It doesn't really matter. So welcome, Fernando. Thank you for coming to my professional studio here, and let's dive into it. Can you tell me at the beginning, how was your journey with with martial arts for you? Where did you start? What did you start with?
Well, okay. First of all, thank you for having me here.
Sure.
It's a real pleasure, and I hope whoever's listening or watching have a good time. Well, the beginning, man, it's like I believe most people, like when we're kids, we watch some cartoon or some movies, and you get inspired as a kid. Like every kid, they want to be an astronaut, they want to be like a firefighter. I, for some reason, always liked, back in my days, I'm gonna be dating myself now, used to be.
It's all right. Waiting for everyone.
I used to watch, in Brazil, used to play at night, some Hong Kong Kung Fu movies, some really old, like from the late 70s, and I'm talking about the 80s. They would play on TV. So as a kid, I would stay up at night watching, and I always got impressed with those men, like they always the hero, like in those Hong Kong movies, they always like saving the lady in distress. They using their kung fu. It's also impressive. And they make in a way that always looks good in the camera. So I always liked, but I never thought of doing martial art, but I was always interested. And then when I was about 10 years old, between 8 and 10, my father, knowing that I like those movies, he brought a VHS. A lot of people might not know what that is anymore.
VHS, yeah.
He brought a VHS with Enter the Dragon, Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
And it was different than everything else. It was not just like a kung fu movie. It was like this guy was like a superhero, and he looked great as well, because in those Hong Kong movies, they all like with those Chinese traditional clothes and stuff, but he was just like shirtless, ripped. Like looking really good and being a badass on camera, but still at the same time, being kind of, in that movie, he had this character who was like a former Shaolin monk, so he wasn't like with the Zen, style, always looking cool. And that really changed me, like, whoa. And then suddenly, I wanted to do something, I wanted to be like that. And my father, of course, because he showed me that video, he was a karate practitioner. And then he saw that I got interested, he started introducing me to martial arts. And back in those days, there was only karate, taekwondo, only those striking, and I started doing it very dedicated, trying to become a black belt, to be like in those movies, and I kept this journey, but then came the 90s.
Can I jump into
Yeah,
this?
of course.
I keep hearing that also from my professor Renato. He says that judo was really big in Brazil. Where are you from originally? Which city?
I'm from Rio de Janeiro, but the thing is, judo was big, but in the martial arts community, it was not well seen, because the thing is, before UFC, grapplers didn't know that grappling was that good, because before. Man, believe it or not, before UFC, people really thought that real fight was like in the movies. That someone who could do a high kick, like a very flexible looking high kick, just like the moves could knock them like a circle, like 10 people around them, they could knock them all out, kicking them. People really thought that, how, to the point, it was so much true that even the authorities, if you happen to be a martial artist and you got, for example, people saying like, people got, for example, they expect like a policeman to be able to handle every situation with mastery. not realizing that there's a lot more involved in real situation, real confrontation. There's like the emotional aspect. There's like many other external effects that sometimes the policeman cannot handle the person properly. But they expect to be, you know, them to be just like a black belt. People had this idea, no, a black belt is untouchable. No, it's not like that, you know. So because the movies had this big impact, Hollywood movies, people would watch Bloodsport or those movies that, you know, those heroes, or even like Enter the Dragon, you can never touch the hero. And people really thought that martial arts was like that. Like, as I understand myself as a kid, I believe that. But when you see grown-ups, they really have these expectations, you know, and I heard many times grown-ups in conversations talking about it, you know, talking about how a little Chinese man could defend himself against a group of people jumping them, you know. It doesn't work like that, you know. So it was very different reality back then. So because of that, people really thought that judo was a sport for kids. I learned judo in school, but I never took it seriously. A lot of people would learn. It was something they would learn in school as part of physical education.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah, it's like it was judo for boys and ballet for girls there in Brazil. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty extreme, like ballet.
Man,
I want to do judo. Now you're a girl. Go dance.
As I thought, it was a different time, you know. And so even like you see, wrestlers didn't know how, for example, how good they were. They could be in a fight. That's why in the first Vale Tudo, you will not see many wrestlers. You see a lot of kung fu and karate people. They are like willing to take the challenge, but not wrestlers. And yeah, that's the thing. Judo was big, but was seen as kind of a kid sport. Yeah.
So you started with karate then, by
mainly,
example of your father.
Yeah, and then Taekwondo. Because Taekwondo looked more like it was more, because it was traditional karate, so it was more kata based. Yeah. And Taekwondo, there's more flexible kicks. Looked more like in the movies. Yeah. So so I stuck to it. I stuck to Taekwondo, and because they were popular, we would believe that like nobody would. There's a whole thing you train so people will not grab you, people will not be able to hold you because you have your kicks, have your punches to keep the distance, and that was the whole mentality in the martial arts community. And but at some point in the 90s, cable TV started broadcasting some Japanese shoot wrestling, and I started watching that, and then I would see like arm bars, I see those joint locks. Because shoot wrestling is a little from the catch wrestle didn't have chokes, but they had a lot of joint locks, and I was like, whoa! And this fight can end like that. It was impressive to me, like, oh, they. And I started, wow, interesting. And I kept watching, but I never really wanted to practice, you know, because I still had this mentality. I was already competing in Taekwondo. And eventually, a very good friend of mine, he was doing Jiu-Jitsu and he invited me to train. And I went to train for fun, you know, why not? And then I saw a totally different reality. Totally different, like, whoa, like I'm really hopeless, you know. Yeah.
And you should be able to handle those guys, but not really.
Exactly. And even like think about the self-defense aspect, like I felt completely hopeless. But another thing that is strange, another thing that caught my attention, that in the Jiu-Jitsu gym, everybody was in really good shape. While when I was practicing Taekwondo, there was this big pressure to be very skinny, to be very light, very fast. So I was constantly dieting, constantly trying to be skinny. Then I was like, no, these guys are not skinny. They have like very nice shape, like everybody is very fit looking. And that attracted me more. Like I want to be like those guys. I don't want to be. And then I started actually practicing Jiu-Jitsu, and at some point I just realized I just liked it much more because it was more fun, you know, just grappling instead of being you know, there's no strike, so you don't have to be careful about getting knocked out or getting really hurt, you know. And it was just more fun to do. Yeah, I just never stopped ever since. And that was in 1994.
1994. That's your beginning of your
Jiu-Jitsu. Exactly 30 years ago.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I had the same experience. Like I'm not gonna repeat it because people already heard it. But like the switch from even for me, it was self-defense, Krav Maga, and then like first touch with the grappling. I always liked, even within the self-defense, I like the ground fighting, which was really like not too realistic, because it had to be compressed into something that you can teach within the really broad, topic of self-defense. Kicks, knives, more attackers, blah, blah, blah. There is really a lot of topics. So I still like inclined to the ground. And then when I started to go to try MMA, to actually see if I can fight, like I can drill, okay, I can use a defense against some kind of group of attacks, but like how does it really work against somebody who's really trying to like punch you, right? So my first with MMA and also with the ground game in terms of joint locks, chokes, and it's like that just clicks. It's like, this is it, man. This is really fun. This is really good.
And I don't know if it's the same too, but it kind of felt more natural, even, It's like something you with the whole body, like not something like you maintain the distance, strike, you actually you close, you using your body as leverage. Felt natural,
I was watching some of my really old fights, like 2012, 2013. So it was like 3 years after I started MMA. And I was doing things much more intuitively even then. Now I'm sometimes overthinking, because so many options after doing it for a couple of years. And then back then it was like I just went where the fight went, and I was trying to like, I wasn't trying to do anything. I was just, living
going with the flow.
Yeah, going with the flow. It's somehow felt really natural. So 30 years of grappling, that's a lot of experience. Right now you're 5th degree, or which means first 3 degrees are 2 years each. So it's 6 years.
3.
3 years actually. 9. So right. So 9 years, and then it's 5.
And then 3, and then 5, and then goes to 7, then 10,
Okay, so we are 16 years black belt already.
Yeah, I got my black belt in 2002.
2002. 2002. That's such a long journey already. It's amazing. So tell me a little bit how you ended up in Czech Republic. Did you choose Czech Republic like, I'm from Brazil, I'm gonna go there, it's cold. No. I'm gonna go there. So how did you end up here?
Man, it's one of those things I cannot explain. Like my first time ever in Czech Republic was on a layover on a flight, because I was living in Norway, and sometimes I'll travel. Norwegians, they drink a lot. They make a lot of money and they drink a lot. And I like beer. Now I don't drink. I barely drink. I say barely because I not say I will never drink, but I don't.
You're not an abstinent, but
yeah. And but I would like beer back then, but not like them. They drink a lot, so there was option to go away on the weekends instead of staying there just getting wasted with them. Yeah, and most of the places you would go, there would be some connections in Prague. There's like Prague, and then from Prague somewhere else. Yeah. And then first time ever, like I stopped, like there was like one day, like layover one day, so I had some time to see, and I don't know, like it was different than the other part because it was before Prague was Czech Republic was part of the Schengen. Before this change, the European Union changed, it had just joined like the European Union, but was not like effective yet. So it was different. So it was a different vibe than the Western Europe still. So it felt more, it was similar to Brazil in a way that was not so perfect, like Germany or Holland, but it was civilized in a way that was not bad, So it was something in the middle. So I don't know, it's different. I felt good, Right. It was like, it's like very like chill place, not so perfectionist, but also, but not bad, but very chill.
Quite safe. Definitely compared to Brazil from what I hear.
100%. 100%. And it didn't get better from what you heard before. I would say that whatever you heard is probably not better today,
Okay, that's sad. That's sad.
Unfortunately.
And your motivation to move to Norway was to teach Jiu-Jitsu, or?
No, actually, I met one person that invited me to live with her there in Norway, and she said, "But come on, but I cannot just go there." but her father had a company. I said, no, you can work for my father. Like, can I? Yeah, I spoke with him already. I'm like, whoa, okay.
Okay, let's do it.
In fact, it was good because since she had a place, they were like a wealthy family, so I could actually save, a lot of money. So I was working and not spending rent, anything. Because problem there in Norway, like rent is expensive, and so I could save a lot. And that helped me a lot in the beginning. So I had some saving, and then when I had the opportunity, and after, like, I liked Czech Republic, then I started visiting the place and saw, oh, there's no jiu-jitsu here to train. Because I wanted to train, I would come on the weekends, but I would visit some MMA, Vale Tudo back then,
Vale Tudo, yeah.
just to roll, but was not like the level was not good. And I saw there's this gap here. So maybe I can, and the people were nice. I would meet people and people were nice and they were interested, so, well, maybe I can actually start teaching here. So there's nobody. There was actually Tomasz Podolski. He was a blue belt back then, but he didn't live in Prague. He had a group. He would visit Prague sometimes, but he would come every now and then. He was very dedicated. He's a black belt today. But in Prague there was no one else. There was no other choice. So I saw this opportunity. And since there's this need for, there were people willing to learn jiu-jitsu, and there's no one, so
why not?
And I knew it would not be easy. I knew that, being the first one, it's like an explorer coming to in a jungle the first time, have to
in the jungle. There we
exactly.
go.
I knew there would be resistance and stuff, but if you have passion, you want to do something, you can take the pressure. It's okay.
And that was what years? So
visiting like around 2005.
2005. So you were already a black belt.
Oh yeah.
Back then, so
Yeah.
you knew your skills were legit.
Yes.
So there was
No, that's why. Yeah, I had the confidence to do it.
to do it. Yeah. So and how do you see like Czech people, their mentality with regards to training when you arrived here? Let's try it. I'm gonna open up a jiu-jitsu gym. Where your was it really as you expected? Like the people were pushing back, or was it okay with their approach to a new?
Actually, yeah. The thing is, there were two type of people would meet. Those who actually heard about jiu-jitsu, they wanted to learn it, and they were really willing to train. Because especially the beginning, it was hard to find a place. So constantly moving, they were moving with me because they wanted to keep on training. And sometimes I would move. There was some, because as I said, there was resistance, and the place I would start sharing, like for example, I would start renting in a judo club, and eventually once my group start growing, they will feel a little uncomfortable and they will start like creating problems. So we had to move somewhere else to another club that would have the mat. So because of that, and then same thing, we start growing, have to be forced to move somewhere else. I was constantly moving, but they kept following. So there was really people willing to learn, dedicated students. But of course, there were, it's funny because there were other people that were already doing martial arts that they didn't want to learn. They wanted to
compare. Yeah.
I wouldn't say, yeah, but I don't think they wanted to compare. They wanted to beat jiu-jitsu.
Okay.
Because in their head, I represent jiu-jitsu. If they would come, they would beat me or say they beat me, they beat jiu-jitsu, so they're better than jiu-jitsu.
Okay.
Kind of like that,
So did you had some experience with famous Gracie challenges like back in the day? I never lived one. I saw some online. Like,
yeah, it's like they will come. People, they will come with their black belts to the class, like, but they didn't know jiu-jitsu, so they were like some Aikido black belt come with some attitude, with their black belt and explain, yeah, but it's our own martial art. We have our own, but they wanted to keep their black belt, okay? They didn't want to do the class. They said, no, but when do we roll? Like, when do we have, like, in the end of the class. So they wanted to go there just for the roll, So they'll be waiting on the side until, Yeah, funny. Some of judo people will go the same. And eventually, I will start hearing my students will start saying, "Oh man, the guy that came last month, like he's telling everybody in his gym that he came here and he just defeated everyone, including you." That it was like okay. And after some point, I asked one student of mine to make a post. There was one forum back then, online. Internet was different. They didn't have social media still. That everybody is still welcome. Anybody still welcome my class, but I'll be recording every training so they can stop. So they will stop spreading lies. And after that point, they stopped visiting. Yes, of course. No, because it was really. And then I started hearing stories. My student tell me stories that I started visiting their gyms
and losing there.
Yeah, exactly. It's like it's never going to stop.
It's really, really nice. Like this is one of the good things about the internet, that you can really like quickly fight against the disinformation. Yeah. Like you are more susceptible to them, but on the other hand, you can fight it really easily.
But of course, with time now, I can. Not that I support, but I understand their side. You know, they were afraid because, you know, I had something that was very popular, was growing a lot in Europe, and they didn't know how to handle that. You know, they didn't, to the point that, for example, the Japanese Jiu-Jitsu schools, they try to claim in their website that Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and Japanese was the same thing. You know, they try to claim the same thing to the point that people with coral belts. Yeah, claiming to be coral belts in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu too, because Jiu-Jitsu is Jiu-Jitsu, you know.
Yeah. I got caught once when I visited a 7-degree black belt seminar, but he wasn't black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He was black belt in traditional Jiu-Jitsu.
But he was
it was like, I don't think he was claiming that like he wasn't claiming war on the other, so it was like kind of, you know, under the water.
Like here in Prague?
Yeah. No, actually, it was in Bujovice, in a different city.
Yeah, because there was one in Prague. He was using this gray area.
Yeah.
But he made one in Brno, and then he was claiming like in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, like outside, you know.
A couple of people in the world, and one happens to be in Japan. Yeah. Well, it could be. After all, we've got 5th degree here, so like, it could happen. And so that was the beginning of Jungle Jiu-Jitsu, Jungle BJJ, like that, or did you?
No, in the beginning I didn't. In fact, I didn't plan to have my own. In fact, I wanted to work together with one team and actually be part of that team and bring Jiu-Jitsu to that team, you know, and eventually, you know, have that. But resist, even from, as I said in the beginning, people working with me, they were not really willing to cooperate like that, you know. So that's why I could not. So at some point I realized that I have to have my own, because people are just using my presence to legitimate their claims, you know. So for example, if I was like sharing the space, like renting space in a judo club, and then eventually that judo trainer will start saying that, oh, he teaches jiu-jitsu, he learned from me, so he's like, you know, with his black belt in judo, saying that's Brazilian jiu-jitsu, you know. So I realized, okay, I cannot cooperate with people, at least, you know, for the time being, you know. So that's when I realized I have to start my own team, you know, and then I started this process with the Jungle BJJs. And the name came because it was like, it felt like it wasn't a jungle, you know. I imagine that picture, you know, like you know, when the exploradores, we call those the Spaniards that went to America, and there was just jungle over there with a big knife cutting through it. So I saw myself doing similar, you know. So yeah, it's like jungle here.
Yeah, I'm surprised that you didn't realize like, hey, Czech people might say you one thing to the eyes and then behind your back. So you didn't run away back then, because you can meet that attitude here. Like, I'm not saying all Czechs are bad, not really, but you can meet people like this.
But this is everywhere. I don't. It's not only here. No, 100%, man. This is it's a human. You know,
it's a human thing.
Yeah, it's a human thing. Humor is a. If you think about it, that's like war strategy. That's a kind of survival. It's being sneaky. You know, being like tricking your opponent. You know, that's actually, you taught self-defense. You know about, you know, that You teach your students like not to focus on one thing. That danger can be, they can be tricked. Somebody can come from behind, So I believe this happens everywhere. People are gonna be sneaky everywhere.
Probably you're right. And how was, because right now Jungle BJJ is not only in Prague, it's in Dublin. I think you have some clubs in Russia, right?
Yeah.
So how was this idea? How when people realize that your jiu-jitsu is that good that they want to affiliate with you, start learning with you?
That was through competitions. That because the only way they will know about us is through international competition, and they will see our students. They see that logo. They will see like people doing well, and they wanted to associate. They will try to look for one team that's competing, showing results. So they will approach. And again, another thing that I learned a lot at the beginning. Everybody approach and be, oh, cool,
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, they realize, okay, I cannot be, I have to first know who I'm dealing with, So, for example, now I have like a trial period. Don't let them, use the name, the logo right away. It has a trial period to see if they're really willing to do the work, because of course I explain to them, there's their obligation, what they have to do, to keep the standard. And after the trial period, if I see that they're really working with it, then we do the collaboration. And now those like in Dublin, they're doing very good. It's all about the standard. If you keep a good standard, and people with good intentions, they will do it, and it's gonna be a good work. They're gonna be successful too.
And let me ask you about one thing, because Jungle is very known for their results, especially on IBJJF circuit, which is, in my opinion, still like biggest thing in gi, and maybe even in like no gi. There are so many events that are so high quality that if you win IBJJF European Worlds, that really means that you're legit, like completely. So was your was it in your mind like from the start that I want to be good at competition? Maybe because of your experience even from Taekwondo, that this is the way to do martial arts for you?
Yeah, because the thing is, but you mean competition in general or BJJF? Because you mentioned BJJF.
I mean, like overall, that you're really focused on. I would like to talk about BJJF separately, but like more
competition
like competition. Yeah, we train to compete.
Yeah.
Is this correct to say, like about your kind of philosophy in Jungle? Like we train to compete, also to not only to compete, but is this one of our focus points?
Yeah, actually, because it's the thing is, competition is basically, and not only jiu-jitsu, competition, like in every business, in every aspect, is what makes us improve, makes us work harder. Because otherwise, we stagnate. If there's no competition, there's no need to try hard, because it's comfortable here. So competition pushes us forward, and I truly believe that. So that's why I encourage my students. I even tell them, for example, there's going to be a competition this date. I would like to see some of you competing, and not everybody needs, but if you don't want to compete, I tell them, prepare as if you were going to, for example, take a look at the weight, see where you would fit, and like which weight division, and try to make weight on that day. Try to prepare, because force them to have discipline. It forces them to take better care of their diet, force them to take better care of their sleep, their rest, make them train with a purpose. I really believe that Jiu-Jitsu evolved thanks to competition. Without competition, it's like be kind of a closed system that, just like, for example, we spoke about katas. There's no need to improve on that, because there's that rule, there's a set of katas, that's it, And at this level, you learn this one, this is the other level, you learn this one, there's nothing to add, It's a closed system. But it's not like Jiu-Jitsu, and Jiu-Jitsu is open to improvement. And the only way to improve is to be pushed through competition. Yeah, that's why, and I believe that's how I encourage my students to, and there's more aspects to it. There's, for example, the psychological aspect, because although it's funny to say, but it's a scary thing to compete.
It is.
It's scary. A lot of people, they don't know because it is scary. That's why they don't know, because they don't compete. because they don't even want to go there. It's terrifying. It's safe, but come on, nobody wants to lose in front of their friends.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to officially lose, because in the end, of course, with maturity, you learn that you never really lose, you know, but to someone who never competed before, dude, you go in there, yeah. And I believe that that's a very good way to learn how to deal with your fears, with your personal limitations. Because if you think about another reason people would practice jiu-jitsu besides the sport things is the self-defense aspect of it. And a big important aspect in self-defense is the mind. If you freeze, you cannot protect yourself. So if you're not used to work under pressure, if you're not used to do what you have to do under pressure, how are you going to protect yourself under the biggest pressure, which is somebody threatening your life, threatening, you know? So that's why I encourage them to give it a try. And I tell them, you're going to be scared. Your brain going to be telling you, don't do this. But a big part of your brain, like, go home. Why are you here? You know, you can still go home. You can still disappear, you know? But with practice, like everything in life that is difficult is because you didn't practice enough. And the more you practice, the better you get at it. And the better they practice competing, even being afraid, but performing under pressure, the better they're going to get at ignoring that fear and being able to perform. And then one time, the time hopefully never happens, but if it ever happens, somebody's threatening you and you have no other option, you're against the wall, you're going to be able to perform because you already know how to do it, how to control your, you know, because fear is a good thing. Fear prevents us from doing really stupid things. We know the limits, we know the consequences, so fear keeps us from crossing certain lines. But excessive fear prevents us from actually moving. That's why people not prepared when they have to protect that they freeze. And they not only to protect themselves or to protect others. How many times you see, like, you can see a woman getting beat up and, you know, people, they're afraid to help the woman. They see a man and like there's 3 people around and all 3 of them just watching, afraid of helping her, you know, because they really freeze and they're not used to work under pressure. That's why I encourage them. It's a slow process, and to those people, those new students, and I tell them it's not for everybody. You don't have to compete, but prepare as if you're going to. Check the date. Check the weight, make weight, train together with your training partner who's going to compete. Prepare with them. You're not going to compete, but progress with them because you're also going to have to worry about, is he going to compete? I cannot get caught in this position. So you're going to start, your jiu-jitsu is going to improve as well, you know. Definitely. So it's a good motivator for them.
Jestli tě tenhle podcast bavil, tak jdi na herohero.co/stehlík jiu-jitsu a za cenu 2 kafí ho tam můžeš slyšet úplně celý. Do toho tam také každý měsíc přidávám alespoň 1 instruktážku zaměřenou na základy brazilského jiu-jitsu. Tak na co ještě čekáš?